What is going on, everybody? What is going on, the Catch fam? My name is John Dawson, and in today's video we are starting my early 2022 fantasy football rankings for the quarterback position. In today's video we are going through quarterbacks number 1 through number 5. This will be part of a 4-part series going over our top 20 quarterbacks heading into the 2022 fantasy football season. If you guys do enjoy today's content, be sure to hit that like button down below, and of course hit that subscribe button if you are new to the channel. We put out free daily fantasy football content. At the moment we are running a free subscriber mock draft every single day of the week, so make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Come join the Catch family, and feel free to drop any comments, questions, concerns pertaining to the 2022 fantasy football season down below, and of course let me know what you think of today's overall rankings. Without further ado, let's hop right into things. All right, number 1 overall, no surprise, I've got the player who I'm repping today, Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills, your QB1 in all scoring formats last season. Just a ridiculous fantasy season last year. 645 passing attempts, 409 completions, just over 4,400 passing yards, 36 touchdowns to 15 interceptions. Also had 122 rushing attempts. That was a career high for 763 rushing yards, also a career high, and 6 touchdowns. The unique aspect of Josh Allen is that he is such an incredible passer within the pocket, but at the same time he offers upside at the rushing position. I don't know if we've really seen a quarterback who can play at that elevated level like Josh Allen. Man, I just absolutely have nothing bad to say about Josh Allen from a real life football perspective or from a fantasy perspective. Listen, I don't necessarily think it matters that maybe this receiving room is a little bit more thinned out than it has been the last 2 years. I think that Gabriel Davis is going to be able to step up as a wide receiver 2. I think that Dawson Knox is a phenomenal tight end 1. Then obviously you've got one of the best wide receivers in the entire NFL at the number 1 wide receiver position, and Stephon Diggs. You add James Cook to this offense, I think that the defense looks phenomenal as well. This could really easily be the Bills' year. We'll find out, but regardless, from a fantasy perspective, I don't think you're going to see any rankings out there that do not have Josh Allen number 1 heading into the 2022 fantasy football season. Number 2 overall heading into the 2022 fantasy football season, I have got Justin Herbert. I think that Herbert is going to have another phenomenal year. He was your QB2 in fantasy football in all scoring formats last season. Had 672 passing attempts, 443 overall completions, just over 5,000 passing yards, 38 passing touchdowns to 15 interceptions. Still had 63 rushing attempts for 302 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. So he does offer some running ability as well. Nothing necessarily crazy, but it's nice that he has the ability as well. Overall, he just took a nice step forward in the passing game, and I don't think it's crazy to say that he could take another step forward in 2022, potentially have his best season yet. The running back room looks absolutely beautiful, led by Austin Eckler. You improve it in the draft. You've still got Justin Jackson. You got Josh Kelly. The running backs look studly. Looking at the receiver position, you could argue could be a little bit better overall, but you still got Keenan Allen as your primary wide receiver 1, a beautiful security blanket. Then you've got Mike Williams with that big play potential, and Jalen Guyton had a nice season last year as well. I think he's going to be able to step up, and I like the addition of Gerald Everett to this offense. So I really think that Justin Herbert's in a good point offensively, and overall I think that the defense has improved drastically in the offseason as well, which will help this offense as a whole. So I love the position that Justin Herbert's in. I think he presents a little bit more upside than the rest of the QBs on today's list, and I think that pure pocket passing ability puts him in line to throw for over 5,000 yards, potentially again in around 40 touchdowns with 20 or less interceptions. I am all about Justin Herbert. I really think that the Chargers are going to be in position to be one of the scariest offenses heading into the 2022 fantasy football season. All right, 3rd overall on our early QB rankings for 2022, I've got Patty Mahomes, and don't get it twisted, man. I am not doubting Patrick Mahomes. I won't be surprised if he finishes as QB1. He is still an absolute animal. I mean, people think that he had a down year, but in reality, he did not at all. He was QB number 4 overall in all scoring formats last season. 658 passing attempts, 436 completions, over 4,800 passing yards, which was his second most all time, 37 touchdowns. That was his third most all time, to 13 interceptions, which we have to admit was the most interceptions he's ever thrown in a season, but we can forget about that for the moment. 66 rushing attempts, 381 rushing yards, which was an all-time high, and 2 rushing touchdowns. He did tie his career high for fumbles and set a career high for the most fumbles lost, and at times it did feel like that offense wasn't necessarily on the same page. And now we're moving into 2022, and Tyreek Hill is no longer on this football team that has a lot of fantasy managers spooked. But at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes is a once-in-a-generation type talent. You got Andy Reid. He is one of the best head coaches of the last couple generations. He is a phenomenal offensive guru. This backfield looks great with CEH, Ronald Jones, Jerick McKinnon re-signing as well. And I actually quite like what they've done at the receiver position. I think you could argue, no disrespect to Tyreek Hill, that this offense could be better heading into 2022. You've got Juju Smith-Schuster, MVS. I mean, I guess you could throw Josh Gordon in the mix, but I'm not personally there with Gordon. McCole, Hardman, then you go out and you draft Sky Moore, and you still got Travis Kelce, one of the best tight ends in the entire league, if not the very best tight end in the entire league over the past couple of years. So I still like the direction that this offense is headed, even if they lose that big upside play capability out of Tyreek Hill. And I have nothing bad to say about Patrick Mahomes whatsoever. Do not doubt Patrick Mahomes. Do not doubt the Kansas City Chiefs. I told you guys all last season, I get that it looked bad at times, but I guarantee you that this team will have an opportunity to make a run at the Super Bowl, and they did just that. I don't think that 2022 is going to be any different for Patrick Mahomes and company. All right, number 4 overall, we've got Kyler Murray of the Arizona Cardinals, who finished as QB 10 last season through 14 games overall. I know that I've got Kyler a little bit higher than a lot of rankings out there, and I think the thing with Kyler is he just offers that extreme upside as a whole. When you look at what he was doing last season at the beginning of the year, he just looked lights out. And I get it, it does seem that there's a constant theme of a mid to late season injury and then a mid to late season slump. So I have been recommending in our subscriber mock drafts that you guys, if you do go out and you draft Kyler Murray, it might be a good idea to get a later round guy like a Derek Carr or Kirk Cousins, whoever you believe in those later rounds, and offer some stability to your roster as well. But the upside that Kyler Murray presents, you just cannot deny. I mean, I think he's going to have a phenomenal season when he is healthy. Looking at last season, 481 passing attempts, 333 completions, just over 3,700 passing yards, 24 passing touchdowns to 10 interceptions. On the ground, he had 88 rushing attempts for 423 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. He had a career high in fumbles. I do want to point that out. It was not a good year in terms of fumbles for Kyler Murray, but at the end of the day, like I said, I think it's just that extreme upside that he offers on a weekly basis and the capability to be an incredible passer and an incredible rusher. From a pure fantasy football aspect, he is almost exactly what you're looking for. In terms of a quarterback who has that running capability, I think you've got to put him number 1, because I do think out of the QBs who also have high upside in terms of rushing, he is probably the best passer overall outside of Josh Allen. Of course, when we look at this offense, I love the backfield. Got James Conner, you got Darrell Williams as the RB2. Hollywood Brown going to be playing as the RB1 for the first 6 games, but then you get Hopkins back as well. I think Rondale Moore is going to have an opportunity to step up. Hate him or not, call him an old man or not, AJ Green had over 800 receiving yards last season, so he might be able to be somewhat of an impact as well for this offense. And you got Zach Ertz at the tight end. It's still an offense that is in line to be very, very dynamic and explosive overall. So I will put Kyler Murray number 4, but at the end of the day, it is the most boom or bust pick probably out of the top 15 QBs. And like I said, I do think you should consider drafting a second QB if you go out and target Kyler Murray heading into the 2022 fantasy football season. All right, number 5, we've got Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens. And listen, guys, I'm not going to hate on Lamar Jackson. I am personally too scared to draft him because he was my QB1 in my primary fantasy football league last season. And Lamar, I'm not mad at you, man, but the week you got injured, I really needed a win. Actually, I needed a win to get to the playoffs, and that did not happen. But nonetheless, man, we cannot deny the talent that is Lamar Jackson. Overall, as a rushing quarterback, better than anyone on this list, better than anyone we're going to see on any of the future list. Overall, last season, through 12 games, came in as QB 15 overall, which is really not that bad for just playing 12 games. 382 passing attempts, 246 passing completions, just over 2,800 passing yards, 16 passing touchdowns to 13 interceptions. Not the best ratio, but then when we look at what he got done on the ground, 134 rushing attempts, 760 rushing yards, and just 2 scores, a career low on the ground. But still, that incredible upside in terms of rushing yards is always going to be present. I do think he's going to have a bounce back year as a whole, and I do think he's in line to be a potential for comeback player of the year. Listen, guys, the offense does not look beautiful on paper. Mark Andrews is going to be the #1 receiving option for Lamar Jackson. They do have a beautiful chemistry, but at the moment, Rashad Bateman is going to have to step up and be a true wide receiver 1 for this team. But at the end of the day, this is a run first offense. You got J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Mike Davis. Who knows? They'll probably sign 2 other running backs before the season starts. Last season, we just saw a carousel of veteran running backs. Le'Veon Bell, all kinds of guys were showing up within that offense. Who knows what will happen? And of course, Lamar Jackson is going to use his legs on the ground a ton as well. At the end of the day, from a pure fantasy perspective, you just can't doubt Lamar Jackson. He offers such beautiful upside. He is such a rare talent at the position that I'll happily put him at #5 overall heading into the 2022 fantasy football season. And that'll do it for today's video. There are your top 5 quarterbacks early rankings heading into the 2022 fantasy football season. I really like a lot of the guys coming up on the next video. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of today's overall list. I know there's some really good QBs in the next 2 overall tier, so I'm interested to hear your guys' comments as a whole. Be sure to hit that like button if you did enjoy today's content. Of course, hit that subscribe button. Really does help us out when you guys subscribe to the channel, and we give out free daily fantasy content. At the moment, we are running free subscriber mock drafts almost every single day of the week, so make sure to subscribe to get updates, and join our Discord down below. Is completely free to do so. The best way to get updates on the channel and when we are going to be conducting mock drafts as well. And with that, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening, and remember, you saw it here on The Catch.